the night where the Super Bowl had two black starting quarterbacks for the first time in NFL history, both quarterbacks were spectacular. Patrick Mahomes led a second-half comeback for the Kansas City Chiefs to pull out a three-point win. Mahomes is the first black quarterback to win two Super Bowls. As for Philadelphia's Jalen Hurts, he was just as impressive. 27 of 38 for 304 yards and one TD pass. Hurts ran for 3 touchdowns to tie a Super Bowl record. Mahomes and Hurts showed the NFL that you can build a championship team with a black quarterback running the offense. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron at Original Taco Pete's. Come in today for our tasty seasoned black taco. We're at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw, or call 323-348-4441.
This is a rather bold pronouncement, but we think we can back it up. If you come across a radio frequency anywhere putting more variety and more diversity on the air than KBLA Talk 1580, we sure would like to hear about your discovery.
You got to have vision.
You can search, but we are confident that you won't find more shows covering more topics, hosted by a more diverse and inclusive lineup of talkers than the squad we have assembled here at KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the time, brothers. This is the time.
We've got something for everybody.
That's right.
Health and healing, history and humor, issues and events, empowerment and entertainment, all in one station.
What's really going on?
Free enterprise, you dig?
KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about.
King Kong ain't got on me.
The blackness. Never say die. Never say die. Never say die.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. You're tuned in to You Gotta Be Hungry with Les Brown. The Motivator continues his month-long radio residency exclusively here on KBLA Talk 1580. This motivational masterclass is brought to you weekdays by this station and by Les Brown. Today's theme is Your Obsession Becomes Your Possession. Your obsession becomes your possession. I yield now to the gentleman from Miami, Florida, by way of Atlanta, Georgia, Les Brown.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about talking with you today as we celebrate our greatness, and we most certainly listen to the voice of greatness with Professor Khalil Gibran Muhammad. That's a bad brother up in here, up in here.
Indeed.
And the book, The Prophet, is bad, too. I love that.
It's a good one. It's a good one, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Oh, yes. I want to talk about why it's important that we celebrate our greatness. And I'm always reminded of what Frederick Douglass said. We might not get everything we fight for, but everything we get, there will be a fight. And I want to talk about a young lady that's still practicing medicine after 42 years, but how she got there. That's to me is what's most important when we look at celebrating our greatness. She used to go to the summertime, spend it in Greensville, North Carolina with her family and her grandmother. And when she went down to spend time with her grandmother, I remember interviewing her, and she said that she was with her grandmother and started raining real hard, and she was around 9 years old. And they ran into a grocery store to get out of the rain. And the white store owner said, "Niggas, get out of here." And her grandmother put her arms around her and took her outside, and her grandmother was crying. And she said, "Grandma, why are you crying?" And she said, "No, I'm not crying. It's just a rain, and a little rain won't hurt us." But the reason I share this is that when you grow up in that kind of environment, an environment that demeans you, that does not recognize your humanity, and it's so pervasive, we always have to look for, and I want people to just think about this and write this down, create an affirming an environment for our children, encouraging them constantly. She was home one day when a doctor came, a black doctor. White doctors were not allowed to go into the black community or to treat black people at that time. And she watched them, and she said to him, "I'd like to become a doctor." And she said, he kneeled down, he looked over his glasses, and he said, "You would make a wonderful nurse." She went and she told her grandfather. She said, "I want to become a doctor." But Dr. Johnson said, "I would become a very good nurse." And she said her grandfather said something to her. He said, "You can be anything that you want to be." Do you hear me? You can be anything you want to be. He affirmed her. He encouraged her. And this doctor was not white. He was black. That many of the negative, toxic things that we have said about us, when you teach people to hate themselves, that's where there's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. We've been trained and taught and groomed for discord and to hate and be against each other and be like crabs in a barrel. And that's why we have to watch the conversations and the influences for our children. And so with that ringing in her ears, you can be a doctor. From her grandfather, she said that spoke to her soul. And she went on to college, and she graduated at the top of her class, and she went to Albert Einstein Medical School, and she was one of 4 black kids that graduated from there, African Americans. Now, here's something that's interesting. She applied for numerous jobs, board certified, years of experience. She applied for a job as staff physician with the California Department of Corrections, and they said no. Constantly. She couldn't even get an interview. And there were white people who applied for various jobs as staff physicians. They were interviewed. They didn't have any board certification. They had no experience. She had 20 years experience, and she couldn't even get an interview. And she just got tired of being turned down constantly. And then there was one person that she went to an interview, and this white gentleman said to her, "You know what?" He said, "I need to say this to you," because her first name is Vicky, but she used Marbury Height. And so he thought it was a white male interview coming in. And when he saw her, he was shocked. And he said, "I got to tell you this." And she asked, "What?" "They made me promise, make a commitment that I would never hire a black person as a staff physician." And so the reason I'm sharing this is the character of this country. It's not going anywhere. And that the people that break through, it's an obsession. You got to be hungry. You got to be persistent. You've got to be a kind of person that I'm going to make this happen no matter what. It's real. It's every day, and it's in the DNA of this country. So what she did, she got tired of being turned down. So she filed a suit against the California Department of Corrections. And then on the day for the trial, they got a call, and the call was her attorney could not make it. He was in surgery. And so the judge said, rather than postponing it, the judge who was against her, but listen to this, the judge said, you either try the case today yourself or the case will be dropped against the California Department of Corrections. Now, she's a doctor, and she said, okay, I will. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to finish the story.
When we come forward, we'll finish this story being told ever so brilliantly by the motivator, Les Brown. You're listening to You Gotta Be Hungry on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. Good thing we've got 3 hours. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Lendistry. Lendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Lendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Lendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited Black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
KBLA Talk 1580 is teaming up with LA County Justice Care and Opportunity Department, along with Supervisor Holly Mitchell, to bring you a healing space, well-being, creative expression, and connection as acts of resistance. This event will take place Sunday, February 19th from 12 to 4 p.m. at Irvin Magic Johnson Park, 905 East El Segundo Boulevard in Los Angeles. All are welcome, and it's absolutely free.
There will be mental health support, interactive art, an expungement clinic, kids programming, emotional support, animal services, writing workshops, health screenings, dance classes, and employment opportunities. Join us for healing circles, free food, and 3 DJs so you can dance all day long.
It's a healing space and so much more. Sunday, February 19th at Irvin Magic Johnson Park. For more info, visit jcod.lacounty.gov. Healing together with the LA County Justice Care and Opportunities Department, Supervisor Holly Mitchell, and KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for legitimate political discourse without the bear spray? Tune in and speak out. KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to You Gotta Be Hungry with the motivator, Les Brown, as he continues his month-long exclusive radio residency on KBLA Talk 1580. Today's theme is Your Obsession Becomes Your Possession. Continue, Les Brown.
Yeah, so Dr. Vicky Hyde, who was told by her grandfather, you can be a doctor, that became her obsession. And she faced racism and discrimination of all types. And so there she was, after being turned down on job after job after job, seeing white people who were hired for jobs that she applied for that she couldn't even get an interview. They weren't even board certified. They had no experience, and she had experience. She just finally got tired and filed a suit against the California Department of Corrections. Her doctor, Murphy's Law, came into play. He ended up in the hospital on that day. And the judge, who was very partial to the Department of Corrections of California, said, you either try the case today yourself or the case is closed and it's dropped. And she said, I'll do it. She had her husband with her, and he sat behind her. She had nobody with her except her husband, and she had these lawyers, 3 lawyers, seated across from her, ready to try the case. And they tried the case, and they did their part. But then she did something that was very smart. Her husband was doing some research for her, and she asked the doctors, those lawyers, to get on the stand, to interrogate them. about the case. And when she brought up and asked things that you only would be able to answer those questions if you had some medical knowledge and background to say why she was not qualified for the job, and they could not substantiate that in legal terms that made sense. She won the case, hands down. But here's what happened. She won the case. The judge who was against her ruled in her behalf. Yes, you won the case. And she won a judgment, over $200,000. And it's been over 14 years. And California Department of Corrections, they still have not paid her. This is what happens when you are an African American. This is what happens when you're in a country that dismiss you, demean you, demonize you, and don't recognize your humanity. And when I was talking with her, and as I was listening to Brother Muhammad, I came up during the time of Malcolm, and everything. I mean, his words are ringing in my ears. Everything that he was speaking then, who would believe that we're experiencing that now? And he saw that, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He saw that and was calling us and putting us on notice. Hey, listen, we got to, and this is something I'll never forget, we got to do for self. As we look at where we are with all of the advanced technology, people panicking about that GPT, we got to do for self. We got to continue to grow and expand. We got to continue to have a passion for making a difference in life. This young lady, she went on, and when she went to travel, and she went to Kenya by herself, Nairobi, Kenya, and she served as a volunteer with the government, immunizing babies against tuberculosis during an epidemic, and helped to save many lives because babies were dying there. She also wrote a program for children in foster care who had drug addictions, and that program was supported by the nationally recognized Betty Ford Center. And she provided outpatient services for those kids. And over 350 children benefited from her skills, from her knowledge, and the work that she was doing. And as a result of her work and her volunteerism, she's saved lives, and she's been practicing medicine for 42 years. She applied for loans, and 9 banks turned her down. 9 banks refused to give her money so that she can go into independent practice when she decided that she wanted her own practice. And finally, the 10th bank gave her a loan, and as a result of that, she paid off all of her student loans. She's still in practicing medicine now, and she's still standing, and she's still making a difference, and she's mentoring students, African-American medical students who want to go on and have a career in the area of medicine. What questions would you like to ask me? I got a lot about this, sister.
Today's theme is your obsession becomes your possession. Your obsession becomes your possession. We are taught and told, I think it's fair to say, in this country, that to be obsessed with something, generally speaking, is not a good thing. Why are you so obsessed with this? Why are you so obsessed with that? She's obsessed with that. He's obsessed with that. But you're flipping that whole notion of obsession on its head and saying that your obsession becomes your possession. But I think, again, that we are indoctrinated in such a way where we're told not to be obsessed chasing things, Les.
Patrick Henry said, give me liberty or give me death. When you put on the line, say, look, you give me this or kill me. It's an obsession. If you're casual about your dream, if you're casual about your goals, if you're casual about the things you want to accomplish, those things will become a casualty. You've got to be willing to give it all up. You've got to be all in to make it happen. And when we begin to face the reality that racism, just think about Sunday. For the first time, 2 African-American males, they navigated quarterback positions in the Super Bowl. That's the reason that racism and discrimination will never go away in this country. Because when you give us access, we will dominate the game. You don't keep people out of the game who you feel that you can dominate, who you feel that you can compete against, who you feel that you are superior to them. But if you don't feel superior to them, if you feel inferior to them, you watch Venus and Serena play against each other. You watch Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts play on the field. So this is why we've been kept out. This is why the racism, the hatred of us has been and will always be there, and we must rise to the occasion. And the people who break through the cracks, white people have a glass ceiling. We have a concrete ceiling. We have to break that sucker, all right, into smithereens. And so when you think about that, but here's the other piece. As a result, here's the benefit. When you face resistance, when you face the pushback, an airplane can't fly without the resistance of air. You can't learn good horsemanship by riding a tame horse. And the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. You are stronger on the other side. That's why your obsession most certainly must be something that you have with that you want, that you refuse to give up. You keep on coming back again and again and again. That's what we talked about Paul Robeson when he said, here I stand, for I can do no other. This is all that I can do because this is my life. This is what I stand for. And this is where we are.
No, when you suggested earlier that we should be about the business of creating an affirming environment for our children, that we should be about the business of creating an affirming environment for our children. I heard you loud and clear. And it raises this question for me, what you say to us, what advice you offer about modeling the behavior of success for our children. We all know that kids, there's so many ways, so many cute ways people say it. What you see, you will be. If you can see it, you can achieve it. If you can see it, you can be it. There are all kinds of ways to lay that out. And I receive and accept all of those. And yet it seems to me that when it comes to our children in particular, it's one thing to suggest we have to create an affirming environment for them, but it's another thing for us to model the behavior of success for our children. Put another way, somebody once said, I'd rather see a sermon than hear a sermon. I'd rather see one than hear one. So talk to us about what it means as you see it to model the behavior of success so our children can see that.
Well, that's the primary reason why I'm talking to you now and what KBLA is about. Is that when we celebrate our greatness, and we're not just looking back at what people have done in the past, but there are people that are doing great things now who've overcome incredible odds right now. And we need to know, what did they do? How do you make it in this day where we're going from brick and mortar to click and order? How do you begin to be competitive and rise above the technology that now can emulate my voice and your voice and our images, and people don't know what's real and what's not real? How do we stay ahead of the cutting edge of what's happening right now? And the reason that the people who've made it yesterday and the ones who are making it today, they were perpetual learners. Dr. Vicky Height, she graduated top of her class. When you think about the people that are doing great stuff right now, that the billionaires that exist, the people that are in corporate America and became the head of those Fortune 500 companies, those individuals, they put in the study, they put in the work. We can't be average. We always have to be extraordinary. We always have to be so good that we cannot be ignored, and that we break the door down with our genius. We break the door down with our innovation and the things that we're able to come up with that allow us to begin to make our mark and live a life that matters. Here's what's pathetic, particularly now, and what the internet reveals. There's a lot of foolishness in this world, and a lot of it's in our community. We got adults, senior citizens, grandmothers using all kind of foul language. We got so many young women online shaking their booties, giving our kids a vision of themselves. If you want to make it today, you got to have a Brazilian booty. You got to go to Miami and get one on sale. No. We got to say to our kids, you got a brain. No. You don't want to try and get a pass to the top of your life because you got a big booty. You got a brain. You can think. There are other things that you can do other than rap, other than play sports, other than going to Brazil to get a butt lift. You have the ability, the versatility, and the genius in you to go in any area of life and make your mark. Find your place. And this is very important. Finding your place. You found your place in what you're doing now. I found my place in speaking. This is what I do. This is what I was born for. I told my kids, if they tell you that I'm gone, come to the mall. Put a microphone in my hand. If I don't grab it and firmly set up and say, you got to be hungry. You say, well, Dad's gone now. He's out of here. He's dead.
That's funny. Let me ask you this. Today's theme again is your obsession becomes your possession. Your obsession becomes your possession. How do you know you're chasing the right dream? How do you know you're chasing the right thing, particularly when you've been chasing it for a while and it has not come to fruition?
You know what? We don't know when our dream happens. We have no clue.
Mm-hmm.
Some happen sooner than others. We have no idea. Some people come first time up to bat and knock it out the park. I remember when I got my first $50 love offering in a church. I had no idea. This was after my panicking, and I choked before 3,000 people in Detroit, and a brother named Reverend Charles Adams, who was among the top 10 pastors that year.
Oh, yeah.
And they asked me to pray. And all I knew at that time was, now lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. And I looked at those 3,000 people, and I panicked.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, thank you, Lord, so much for coming this morning, and set my butt down. And somebody said, the devil had his tongue. And so I sat in that parking lot for like 3 hours till the security guard told me to leave. And I was beating the steering wheel saying, this will never happen to me again. And I went out. I stepped in the face of that fear of speaking. I choked on myself. I went out and I spoke again, and they gave me a $50 love offering. I never had a job that paid me $50 in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But who would have thought? The fact that I was willing to come back again and again and again, years later, a major pharmaceutical company would pay me $640,000. Who would have thought? Because I've been investing in myself and probably spent well over $400,000 on my ability to communicate. And my mentor, Mike Williams, who wrote the book, The Road to Your Best Stuff, is still my mentor to this day, who told me, he said, you got this, Brownie. You are a global voice. You can speak beyond the NAACP and the Urban League. And that's where I wanted to go first. And he says, no. He hung up on me. And I called him back and said, what happened? Why'd you hang up on me? He said, I don't want to work with somebody with such a small vision of themselves. I want to work with somebody that want to speak to the world.
Let's pick up on that notion of what it means to move beyond having a small vision of yourselves. We'll come right back to that when we come forward. On KBLA Talk 1580, you're listening to You've Got to Be Hungry with the motivator, Les Brown.
KBLA Talk 1580 is a vibe. Can you feel it? More of KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
We thank you for joining us here on the Black Information Network. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest. President Biden is set to travel to Poland next week. The White House says he'll deliver remarks ahead of the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In Mississippi, a relative of slain civil rights figure African-American Emmett Till has filed a federal lawsuit asking a judge to compel the sheriff of LaFleur County to serve a 68-year-old arrest warrant against Carolyn Bryan Donham. The warrant, which was first issued in 1955 following the murder of Till, was never served. The suit comes after Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch announced last July that there was no new evidence to try and pursue any criminal charges against Donham. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
In Diamond Bar, crews are working on a wreck on the 60 westbound at Grand Avenue and pushing things off to the right shoulder. Traffic is slow from Phillips Ranch Road. Mid-City area, 10 eastbound at Crenshaw. We've got an accident with 2 vehicles moving out of lanes. Boyle Heights, the drive is slow on the 5 northbound from the 10 to Los Feliz Boulevard. And just hearing about a minor wreck on the 5 northbound just past the 710.
It's the tire sale of all tire sales. Buy 2, get 2 free. Now at your local Big O Tires. That's 2 free tires when you buy 2. Valid on select tires with purchase of an alignment and tire protection package. Buy 2 tires, get 2 free. Now through February 19th. For your nearest store, go to bigotires.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
On a night where the Super Bowl had 2 black starting quarterbacks for the first time in NFL history, both quarterbacks were spectacular. Patrick Mahomes led a second-half comeback for the Kansas City Chiefs to pull out a 3-point. It's the first black quarterback to win 2 Super Bowls. As for Philadelphia's Jalen Hurts, he was just as impressive. 27 of 38 for 304 yards and 1 TD pass. Hurts ran for 3 touchdowns to tie a Super Bowl record. Mahomes and Hurts showed the NFL that you can build a championship team with a black quarterback running the offense. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron at Original Taco Pete's. Come in today for our tasty seasoned black taco. We're at 3272 West Slauson off Crenshaw, or call 323-348-4441.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. Here at McKay's Family Mortuary, we offer a full line of services with a fine selection of caskets and urns. Also, assistance with cemeteries along with luxury limousine and funeral coaches and other needs pertaining to your family's wishes for your loved one. We accept Veterans Victim Witness Program for mortuary services only at zero cost to you. Cemetery selection does not apply. All insurances are accepted. McKay's Funeral Home understands that saying goodbye is never easy. That's why we've been providing compassionate and professional funeral services to the community for over a decade. Please contact McKay's Family Mortuary, serving Los Angeles, San Bernardino, and Riverside counties and the High Desert. 3918 Marine Avenue, Lawndale, California. 310-978-8877. That's 310-978-8877. By appointment only or log on to mckaysmortuaries.com.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to You Gotta Be Hungry with Les Brown, who continues his month-long radio residency only on KBLA Talk 1580. Today's theme is Your Obsession Becomes Your Possession. Your obsession becomes your possession. Before news, traffic, and sports, Les Brown, you were telling us the story of being chastised one day by your mentor because your vision of yourself was too small.
Yes, and my vision was given to me by the world. I just thought in my limited thinking that I could only speak to the NAACP, the Urban League, and at Black History Time. And he said, what you going to do, stop the rest of the year? He said, I want to work with someone who wants to speak to the world. And he hung up. And I called him back. I said, that would be me. But here's what happens to us when things happen to you, that you can bend or be broken. And what Dorothy Vicky Marbury Height did, she bent, but she was not broken. And so she went on and she helped African-American students who want to go to medical school. She speaks to them. She mentors them. And she called Albert Einstein College of Medicine, where she graduated from, and she's practicing internal medicine for over 42 years, and her practice is in the Redlands in California. And she went on to become a published author. She's a speaker. She's a healthcare and medical consultant, and she makes financial contributions to causes that serve our community. And so she was not broken. They might have bent. They might have stopped. They might have been able to slow down her progress in doing the things that she wanted to do, but she went from not looking for a job to building her own profitable medical practice. And this is what we have the opportunity to do today. This is the mindset that we have to do for self, that we have to have the mindset of not trying to get to a table and get the crumbs. We have to have the mindset that we can build our own table. We have to have the mindset. I was in the UK, and the people in India, they built their own infrastructure, their own economy. We have the ability, because of technology, because of all the communications skills and the tools that are available to us, that we can build our own economy inside of this economy. And it's just of the power of a made-up mind, of this being I obsession. Just imagine, I want you to think about this, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad built a movement with these words, I met God. Come on! In the person of Master Farad Muhammad, how many people would you have to talk to? Negro, you say you met who? You met God? Yes, he gave me a message for the black man of America. And Master Farad Muhammad is a white man? Come on, man. What you tripping on? All right. I mean, in order to build that movement that still exists today, that's producing some of the most eloquent and the most influential dynamic voices that we have on the planet, that was an obsession of his. And so the people who make things happen at any point in time, they can give up. But when it's obsession, you can't help it. You have got to do it. You got to do what you do. You are not going to be home looking at Netflix or listening to Roland Martin or listening to me or anybody else. You say, hey, I got a voice, and I'm going to create a platform. I'm going to buy a building. I've got some skills. I've got some knowledge. I never ran a radio station before, but I'm about to buy one and run it, and I'm going to do it my way. Come on, Frank Sinatra.
Let me come back to this notion, which I'm fascinated by, of being bent but not broken. Bent but not broken. Life has a way of bending all of us. No question about that. And if you ain't been bent yet, you ain't lived long enough yet. Just keep living. But life has a way of bending all of us. To your mind and in your experience and all the motivating you've done around the world and all the folk you've counseled and all the folk you've spoken to, Les, what makes the difference between those who get bent and those who get broken by life?
That's a very good question. Your reason. You remember the first person who defeated Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson? They said the blow that went around the world. Who was that person?
Who beat Mike first? Was that Buster Douglas?
Bill Douglas.
Buster Douglas. Yeah.
Buster Douglas.
Yeah.
Buster Douglas. His father's name was Bill, who was Buster Douglas. and Mike Tyson knocked him down first. And he was asked a question, what made you get up? And his mother had recently died, and he said, I won it for my mother. He had a reason. His mother had died. And he said, I'm going to win this for my mother. And he got up off the canvas. The first time that Joe Frazier knocked Muhammad Ali down. And Howard Cosell asked him, why didn't you stay down and rest for a minute? Why did you jump up so quickly? And he said, when I looked around and saw where I was, he said, I said to myself, a canvas is no place for a champion.
That's right.
And nobody's never knocked him out. Muhammad Ali had heart. You hear me? Mm-hmm. And so the people, your obsessions are in your heart, and it's pregnant with courage. It's pregnant with perseverance. It's pregnant with faith. It's pregnant with endurance, an unstoppable spirit and energy that refuses to be denied.
Mm. No, I love that. I love that line from Muhammad Ali, and Jesse Jackson, our friend and brother, uses it all the time, that the ground is no place for a champion. The ground is no place for a champion. One of the other notions you raised in this hour that I want to give you a chance to unpack a bit more, Les, is this notion of finding your place in the world. I was in conversation with one of my guests the other day, and we were working through this notion of how we show up in the world. We do have some say-so. We have agency in how we show up in the world. That was a conversation I had some days ago on this program. And so your notion of finding your place is similar to that. But it seems to me that this notion, especially in the world that we live today, of finding one's place is a lot easier said than done. What advice do you have for how to go about the experience of finding your place?
It is easier. It is easy to say that, and all you have to ask yourself, what is it that I enjoy doing, and I would do it for free, that I love it so much, I'll do it for free, and that I'll do it so much that people will pay me to do it. And whatever that is, with the technology we have, you can make money with it. With the technology that we have, you can have a global business. I did a training, and I asked somebody to come up with an idea. And they came up with the idea they like to make doors. And so we went online and put in an inquiry, who would like to have some doors made for them. And in the training, we got several people responding, asking what kind of doors, what shapes, can you do various designs on the doors. We're living at a time we have access. When dictators take over a country, the first thing they do is cut off all communication. We have access. We have the ability to use technology to open up our own business in the comfort of our home. I run a global business at home. I'm on my phone talking to you right now. I talked to the people in South Africa just an hour before I talked to you. I have a multi-million-dollar contract with them. And I negotiated that in a Zoom call on my phone, my communication skills. If you have something you love to do and you speak with passion and you are relentless and you have the mindset of Og Mandino, who wrote the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. He said, I will persist until I succeed. When you have that kind of mantra, doors will open that you did not see.
If I can quote a great philosopher named Les Brown, it ain't over until I win. It's not over until I win. He's quoting all these other greats. That's one of his great books. It's not over until you win. You're listening to You Gotta Be Hungry with the motivator, Les Brown, exclusively all month long on KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to like and follow Tavis Smiley at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Get ready for an intimate evening with Life Jennings. Valentine's Night, February 14th at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. Doors open at 7 p.m., showtime 8. Advance tickets start at $65. Life Jennings and special guests. Valentine's night at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. For tickets, call 800-595-4849. For more info, call 323-849-9577 or visit jimsbenefitconcert.org.
The Millionaires Roundtable with Lynn Richardson is creating millionaires one family, one day, $1, one dime at a time. KBLA Talk 1580 will be celebrating Black History Month Wealth with Lynn Richardson live on Wednesday, February 22nd at the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon in Leimert Park. Come check out the space. This location has been a bank branch for over 44 years and is now a community center. It provides resources and education to help the community with money goals, home ownership, and entrepreneurship. You and a guest can win lunch with Lynn Richardson February 22nd. Go to KBLA1580.com or the KBLA 1580 mobile app today and register. See you there.
Thinking about hosting a podcast and don't know where to start? Morris Media Studios has you covered. We're a professional podcast and voiceover studio located in Leimert Park. We specialize in recording and live streaming audio and video podcasts. Let us help you set up, record, and distribute your podcast. Hosting a podcast is a great way to bring awareness to your business, product, or good cause. For more info, visit morrismediastudios.com or give us a call at 323-815-4204.
Malik Books and Pan-African Film Festival joins forces to present a Black History First event on February 13th, 7 p.m. Go to MalikBooks.com and come see The Black Hollywood, the reimagining iconic movie moments by celebrity photographer Augustus Carrell. Augustus is a Los Angeles-based photographer whose career has taken him around the world to shoot some of the biggest stars on the planet. Carrell, along with celebrities featured in the book, will host a book signing and panel discussion about classic Hollywood with today's iconic entertainers. An unprecedented photography book that brings the best to classic Hollywood. Black Hollywood is not just a book for black people. It's a book for all people. Visit MalikBooks.com. MalikBooks.com. Event will be hosted at Malik Books, Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw location.
Conversations that matter. You're listening to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Les Brown on KBLA Talk 1580. This is You Gotta Be Hungry with Les Brown, a month-long radio residency featuring the world-renowned motivational speaker Les Brown, exclusively again on KBLA Talk 1580. Today's theme is Your Obsession Becomes Your Possession. Les Brown, now a few questions. Let me pivot to a few questions we have for you. Get two or three of them in maybe here, watching our time. The first question, it's a good one. I've been reading this myself and anxious to hear your take on this. I've never asked you this question in all the years I've talked to you. Would Mr. Brown please describe a good mentor-mentee relationship? A timely question given that you were earlier talking about your mentor. So describe, Les Brown, a good mentor-mentee relationship.
It is you develop an alignment with someone who has a track record and experience, and they're in a place where you want to go. When I met Mike Williams, he was a speaker, and I used to go around Columbus, Ohio, to hear him speak. I heard him speak the first time at the Black Union at Ohio State University. And so his style of speaking, and then I watched him and his character. You want to watch the person. There are a lot of people who now getting hoodwinked by people who have good marketing strategies, promoting themselves, helping people to become nationally known motivational speakers, and they're not even known in their backyard. you know, and so you want to have a mentor who has a track record and who has a good reputation. People talk. And I ask around before I deal with somebody. And I just recently, even doing due diligence, I still got ripped off for $60,000 from a young guy out there in L.A. that I took him under my wings. Mm-hmm. And so, but what we want to understand is that when you are in a relationship with someone that know more than you, and they have done some things that you want to do, and they're at the level where you want to go, that's a good mentorship because they're speaking from their wisdom. People say experience is the best teacher. No, wisdom is the best teacher. If I want to go into broadcasting, I'm going to call you because I know you know what you're doing. Next question, please.
Yes, Ask Les Brown is an icon on our homepage at the website, KBLA1580.com. So if you want to pose any question for Les Brown, go to KBLA1580.com, our website. Right there on the homepage, you can't miss it. The big icon that says Ask Les Brown. Click on that icon, and you can send your questions to Les Brown. Here's another question, Les, from one of our listeners for you. Mr. Brown, you're always offering advice to others. What advice do you wish someone had offered to you when you started your career as a motivational speaker?
I wish someone had explained to me, you can't help everybody. Most people won't participate in their own rescue. Most people are happy right where they are. And I thought I could motivate her. No. There's a reason that the Jewish carpenter said, he who has ear, let him hear. There's a reason. He said, the ones who can hear me, I want them to listen to what I'm saying. You got a tribe. I got a tribe. There are people who just won't hear us. They're someplace else listening to rap music or entertainment or jazz or sports and still reviewing the football game. But the ones that are tuned into you, the ones who stop and say, KBLA, that's got my name on it. That's our tribe. We can't help everybody. The road to life is straight and narrow, and few there be that find it. And somebody, if I had someone to say, listen to me, talk to the few, talk to the people that can hear you. You can't help everybody.
A few remaining moments with Les Brown on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Ariva Martin, and I'm the host of the new drive time show, Ariva Martin in Real Time, on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm also a mother and a child advocate, and when my son Marty was diagnosed with autism, I was devastated. I knew I had to do something, so I started the Special Needs Network, and for over 15 years, we have been helping families with children with autism. Now, through a new program called CORE, we can help you. We can help you take your career to the next level by training you to become an early childhood interventionist, working with children ages 0 to 3. The CORE program will pay you $25 an hour while you are in training, pay off $10,000 of your student loan debt, and help you find a good paying job. Call 323-291-7100 or visit snnla.org to learn how you can become a CORE fellow and take your career to the next level. Don't hesitate. Apply today.
Interrogating your assumptions and expanding your inventory of ideas. Let's get back to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to Les Brown on KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to You Gotta Be Hungry with Les Brown on KBLA Talk 1580 every weekday during this month of February, Black History Month. Les, you raised this issue earlier in today's lesson, which is entitled Your Obsession Becomes Your Possession. You raised this issue earlier of being a lifelong learner, but what you said a few moments ago brings me back to this with you, and that is the value of learning how to listen. We want to be lifelong learners, but speak to this issue, this notion of learning how to be a generous listener, a charitable listener, as you pursue your obsession, which will become your possession.
I am glad you asked me that question because it brings me back to Dr. Vicky Marbury Height. When she was in court, here she is, a medical doctor, and seated across from her, 3 experienced corporate attorneys. She listened deeply to what they had to say. The judge asked her to speak, and she said, I yield to the gentleman at the table to my left. And when they got up and spoke, and then that told her where she needed to go. They were speaking legalese, and she called them on the stand, and she started speaking from a medical perspective. The value of listening, whenever you and I speak, we have to listen to the listening of the audience. They will let us know if we're on point. They will let us know if something we said landed in their heart or if it's funny. They will let us know by the energy in the room. And so here's something that I'd like to report this quote by Dr. King, and you're familiar with this. He said, justice delayed is denied. Dr. Vicky Marbury Height still has not been paid. She won the lawsuit. And I'm encouraging people to call the California Department of Corrections and say, pay the lady her money. She won hands down. They have delayed paying her. And because they don't want to pay her. And it all has to do with our being silent. Evil prevails and injustice prevails when we are silent. And everything we get, it's going to be a fight. And we got to fight with her, for her. She serves the community. She's a servant leader. She doesn't turn people away who need help, who need medical attention. She sees this as her calling. It's her magnificent obsession. But here's a battle now that she needs some other voices to stand up and say, come on. She won this legally, fair and square. California Department of Corrections, call the state legislators and the Congress people and the senators and demand that this lady receive compensation. She won it. She represented herself against 3 experienced lawyers. So she deserved to be compensated for being denied an opportunity to practice her practice only because of racism and discrimination. And she won.
His name is Les Brown, the motivator, world-renowned, exclusively this month. Every weekday, his radio residency continues through the 28th of February. And today's lesson has been entitled, Your Obsession Becomes Your Possession. Your obsession becomes your possession. That's today's lesson. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep the faith.